The Magic Treehouse Fact Tracker, Knights and Castles, Chapter 5, Festivals and Fairs. Some of the most exciting events on the manor were religious festivals and trade fairs. Religious festivals took place on holidays such as Christmas and Easter. There were often feasts in the Great Hall. The Lord gave most of the workers on the manor the day off. Townspeople sometimes performed in the villages. They acted out stories from the Bible. The word holiday comes from the words holy and day. Religion in everyday life. Religious worship was also an important part of everyday life during the Middle Ages. Most castles had their own chapels. The chapel was often the most beautiful room in the castle. Many chapels had stained glass windows, painted walls, and crosses made of gold. Kings and noblemen also gave money to build large churches called cathedrals. Some cathedrals were bigger than castles. Castles usually had their own priest, too. Each morning the lord and lady prayed in the chapel with the priest. The priest said a blessing before every meal. He conducted weddings and other religious services. Most lords also built churches for the serfs who lived on their manors. Sometimes the lord and lady of the manor went on a religious pilgrimage. A pilgrimage is a trip to a holy place. People believed that making a pilgrimage would help them get to heaven when they died. Market days and trade fairs. Of course, not all gatherings on the manor were religious. There were also market days and trade fairs. Market days usually happened once a week. On market days, farmers and merchants set up stalls outside the castle gate. People on the manor came to buy food, clothes, and other goods. A merchant is a person who buys and sells goods. Trade fairs happened once or twice a year. At trade fairs, merchants from around the world came and set up tents. They sold everything from candles and soaps to fancy daggers and swords. People from nearby villages sold pies and cakes and hot wine. Minstrels walked through the crowd singing songs. Their songs often told stories of heroes and their adventures. There were even trained dogs and bears that would dance for pennies. A minstrel was a medieval singer and musician. Everyone on the manor looked forward to the market days and trade fairs. On these days, they could take a break from their daily chores. They could shop, and they could gossip and share news with their neighbors and friends. Turn the page to visit a medieval trade fair.